Hi, I'm Skyler Fines. Welcome to AgamidCG. Today is day 26 of my 30-day sculpting challenge. Today's prompt is a sword, specifically Excalibur II from Final Fantasy IX. I'm kind of double dipping right now on this one. I've got 1,000 armor pieces, cosplay parts, and random props to model and 3D print right now, and trying to do all that while keeping up with this challenge is honestly a bit insane. If you want to see how that whole cosplay project is going, I have a separate video breaking it all down. For this cosplay, I'm going as Steiner from Final Fantasy IX, and I figured if he's wielding a sword, it might as well be the strongest one, Excalibur II. It's famously hard to get in the game because you need to reach a specific point within a strict time limit. But if you're here for sculpting, you probably don't care about this part. Unlike some of my other sculpts, I started this one in Maya. Sometimes hard surface modeling is just faster here, especially for clean, controlled shapes. And there's just different tools you can use and everyone has a preference. Once I had a solid base mesh, I brought it into ZBrush. It already looked decent here, but without more detail and resolution, it was gonna end up looking like it was made by a bunch of squares, which I guess technically it is. I polygrouped one side of the blade and creased it so I could preserve the sharp center edge. I also had to tweak things a bit with the Z modeler brush, and I added a few extra edge loops, but the Maya topology did a lot of the heavy lifting. Once I subdivided, the form held up really well, so I just kept pushing the resolution higher. Next, I added trim details to the section of the pommel. I don't really know sword anatomy that well. I leaned on the armor edge brush that I picked up from another artist. There are a ton of these out there, and they're super useful for this kind of work. When I tried to merge pieces and dynamesh everything together, it turned into a mess, especially where holes were involved. So instead, I used dynamic subdiv first to get the proper thickness, and then I dynameshed it. That worked a lot better, and after that I polished by features to clean up the edges. From there, I moved to the details on the upper part of the guard. I masked out a simple arch shape, Z-remesh to get cleaner topology, and then extracted to give it thickness. Then came the X shape, and this looked super straightforward in reference images, but once you actually study it, you realize how low resolution and unclear the design really is. It's hard to tell what's meant to be cut in, concave, and what's supposed to be a sharp edge. The design is also a bit wobbly. I spent way too much time experimenting with different versions. Some of them worked, some of them are too small, and some just didn't translate well into 3D at all. Eventually, I moved on to the orbs, or rubies, or I guess in Final Fantasy world, they're materia? In 2D, they're just circles, but in 3D, they actually need a place to sit in the model. So I played around with adding a subtle lip around them to hold them in place. I added a few holes to the arch shape, quickly sculpted in the beak-like crest on the sides of the guard, and then time was up. But realistically, I wasn't just going to stop at 1 hour on the main sword for my cosplay. So I ended up spending half a day testing different approaches, fighting topology, balancing between tools, curves, and selections. ZBrush can be really annoying at times. A big part of my overall strategy was masking, extracting, managing polygroups and creases, polishing by features, and constantly juggling resolution. It's a lot to keep track of, and things can get ugly fast. I even made a custom alpha for the X shape, which honestly gave me the best result, and I really struggled with it. I added some final details to the pommel, and in the end, I've got something that I feel comfortable 3D printing and carrying around all day. Thanks for watching. If you've got ideas for future sculpts, topics you'd like me to cover, or feedback on this one, drop it in the comments. I'll see you on day 27.